Donald Trump hasn't been the president now for almost 2 full years, but he is still the top story on CNN literally almost every single night. I watch CNN so that you don't have to. I see it with my own eyes. This was their fake news fixation this week, and wait until you see what caused it.
Got some new reporting just coming into our newsroom. Trump is calling for the termination of the Constitution to overturn the 2020 election and put him back in power. The White House is now condemning him for this.
Seemingly out of nowhere, called for the suspension of the Constitution as yet another attempt to overturn the 2020 election.
On Friday, he took his vile rhetoric to a new and horrible nadir when he called for the, quote, termination of the Constitution of the United States because he lost the 2020 election.
It is certainly startling, yes, to hear a former president, any former president or public official for that matter, mumbling about terminating the Constitution. You know, the document that our entire system is based on, the thing public officials, members of the military swear to uphold and defend, and the document that people have died to protect. What's not startling is that today the former president is pretending he never said what he just said.
Oh, I'm going to show everybody what he really said in just a moment, but it wasn't just the liberal media industrial complex that was willfully distorting and misinterpreting what he actually said. It was also the Republican establishment and the now never again Trumpers who are trying to throw him under the bus, hoping to derail his re-election campaign, including Senate Minority Leader and human turtle Mitch McConnell.
First, let me just say that anyone seeking the presidency who thinks that the Constitution could somehow be suspended or not followed, it seems to me would have a very hard time being sworn in as President of the United States.
I think of all the things President Trump, former President Trump, has ever said, this is probably the most outrageous. I mean, I just don't know how in the name anybody could think that our Constitution, the thing that has saved the Union, that we fought wars over, can be suspended. It can't. It has to be honored and followed. It's a reverent document, and we should revere it.
Yes, says Ari Fleischer, George W. Bush's former chief propagandist, White House press secretary, who helped spread the fake news to the United States and the rest of the world that we had to go and invade Iraq to find those non-existent WMDs. What Donald Trump actually said in his Truth Social post that caused this media meltdown, I guess I can't even read most of it because you're not allowed to ask certain questions or have certain opinions on the big tech platforms. But in part, he said that a certain thing that you're not supposed to talk about of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. Now, not exactly the clearest of language, but it's pretty obvious what he meant there was that the thing that you're not supposed to talk about or ask questions about on the big tech platforms, in a sense, undermined all of those rules, regulations, including those in the Constitution. And so he wasn't calling for the Constitution to be terminated because of the thing you're not supposed to talk about. It was actually the exact opposite. He could have worded it a little bit better, but anybody that interprets it as him saying that the Constitution should be terminated because of the thing you're not supposed to talk about is an obvious liar. We should never forget the roots of the fake news firestorm, the disinformation campaign that's still obviously being waged against Donald Trump and conservatives in every way, shape, and form. Within minutes of Donald Trump being sworn into office on January 20th, 2017, the White House correspondent for Time Magazine, not some random twit on Twitter, a prestigious Time Magazine reporter, spread fake news that one of the first things that Donald Trump did as soon as he entered the Oval Office as president was threw away the bust of Martin Luther King, which had sat in the Oval Office for decades, because he was such a racist, he couldn't stand to see a black man's face. Do you remember this story? It turns out that somebody was just standing in front of it and blocking it from view, and so the reporter was so delusional and paranoid that he just concocted the story in his mind that Donald Trump must have thrown it away. Time Magazine, surprisingly, issued an apology and a correction, something that the liberal media doesn't do anymore. When they're caught lying, now they just double down and continue on as if nothing happened. Other liberal media outlets, however, denounced Donald Trump for being mad that the reporter spread such despicable fake news. Donald Trump attacks Time reporter for mistake about the MLK bust. It was just a mistake. This from CBS News. Trump still salty over fake news report about MLK bust. Donald Trump is still bad for being mad about fake news being spread about him. I detailed the rise of the fake news phenomenon in my book, The True Story of Fake News, which gets more relevant every day. Also this week, the Trump Organization, the umbrella company that owns all of Donald Trump's businesses, was found guilty of tax fraud because one of the senior executives didn't declare the company car that the business provided to him as part of his income based on the value of that car. Imagine the company you work for lending you one of their cars and then getting indicted for tax fraud because you didn't declare the value that the car would have cost you on your income taxes. The district attorney basically found that they didn't cross a T or dot an I on their taxes, and so they were called criminal tax evaders. Of course, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez won't be indicted on tax fraud for not declaring the $35,000 ticket that she was given for free to the luxurious Met Gala. Republicans in the House Ethics Committee did file a complaint against her for breaking the law, but of course, nothing will come of it. Just to be clear, Donald Trump didn't get in any trouble. He wasn't even charged. It was just the business entity and I think one of his senior executives. But of course, they're trying to get at him by getting everyone that's close to him. And over the next few weeks, just before Christmas, the January 6th committee is expected to make criminal referrals to the Department of Justice, where they may, for the first time, officially declare that they believe that Donald Trump has committed crimes, and they have all the evidence of him telling people to peacefully and patriotically march to the Capitol to try to dominate discussions over Christmas. Of course, no law enforcement agencies are investigating Balenciaga, the luxury clothing brand, for their despicable bondage and sadomasochistic ad campaign that involved children. And when I say luxury clothing brand, I mean an absolute ridiculous ripoff. This Balenciaga Adidas hoodie is almost $1,200. Here's a plain black or plain white t-shirt for, and I'm not kidding you, this is directly on their website, $550. Or you could order a Trump Claw sweatshirt from markdice.com for a tiny fraction of that and get free shipping this weekend with the promo code Santa at the checkout. Time's running out to order them and get them in time for Christmas, so be sure to order your Ultra MAGA shirt, an F. Joe Biden shirt, my new climate change shirt, a Trump Claw sweatshirt, or any of my awesome designs. All available in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and a hoodie, and a whole bunch of different colors as well. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below. Enter the promo code Santa at the checkout to get free shipping in the U.S. this weekend, and check them out.